Good evening, and welcome to another exciting episode of the All In Podcast on the All In Network. I'm your host, Walter Damager.
And I'm at Rob Cooper Jr. on Instagram. What's going on, family?
What's going on, good brother? How's you doing this evening?
Oh man, I can't complain, man. We got an action-packed, eventful show today, man. We got a special guest. I'm gonna allow you to introduce our guest today, and we're gonna get into some heavy topics.
Will do. But first, let's bow our heads and give a couple moments of silence for the Taylor family. As we know, Breonna Taylor's uh, the three officers that were accused of killing Breonna were just basically vindicated by not receiving any charges. The charges that was given out was one of the bullets that actually missed Breonna. So hopefully there will be some resolve and there'll be some consolation for the family in the upcoming FBI investigation. Hopefully they'll find something, but our thoughts and prayers go out to the family.
I agree. I think this is something that we are seeing all too often as Black people. But before we get deeper into the topic, let's introduce our special guest.
I love to. First of all, we're going to bring on to the program. I can say that's my line brother, a friend of mine, dear friend, Mr. Granville Bazemore. He's a native of Philadelphia, one of four, born to Dwight D. Bazemore and Glennis J. Shepard. He was educated in the Philadelphia school system. He received his high school diploma from the Franklin Learning Center in 2002. And after he graduated, he went and joined the United States Air Force on May 12, 2003, where he became and obtained skills as security forces military police officer. Granville served 6 faithful years in the United States Air Force. And while doing so, he had the opportunity to live in England for 3 of those years at RAF Millenhall Air Force Base, from which he did a tour in Iraq and various other TDYs. Granville finished his last 3 years at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, where he was medically discharged in June of 2009. Overcoming some of the stereotypes that were often associated with young Black males gaining employment and staying out of trouble, Granville was able to stay focused after the military, obtained his barber manager's license from the state of Pennsylvania. He gained employment with the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, which many of us know today as SEPTA, in 2011. Granville was not always satisfied with that career, and after long research and heavy deliberating, he wanted to pursue other promising careers that would allow him to build a legacy and a great life for him and his family. He decided to resign from SEPTA and attend Northampton Community College in May 2014 to pursue the career of a funeral director and embalmer. After successfully graduating NCC in 2016 with an associate degree in applied science and funeral service education, he passed the funeral director national board exam and PA State Board for the first time, on the first try as well. Now, he's a PA licensed funeral director and is very excited, looking forward to opening his own funeral home and serve families in the communities with true love, respect, and dignity. And he also has taken on another role as comedian extraordinaire. So with all that said, and to much ado, we'd like to welcome to the program, Mr. Granville Bazemore.
How y'all doing?
Good
evening, fellas.
Good evening, Granville. We appreciate you joining us, man, and very impressive background. Not only are you funny, but you're dangerous.
Something like that, sir. Tell everybody.
Yes. So tell us, man. Give us a little bit on this on the funny side. I know you done obviously a lot of work, and you're really getting this comedy piece off the ground. Tell us a little bit about this and your journey to this.
Well, actually, it's kind of therapy for me.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people tell me that I'm so serious all the time. This is kind of like an outlet. I always liked and enjoyed comedy, but I didn't really think I was funny. People used to just tell me that I crack them up, especially when I go on rants. So it's just something that I took a leap of faith on, and it's coming together, sir. So we'll see what we could turn it into.
Yeah, it's interesting. Talk about your other career as a funeral director. I know, being a funeral director in the Black community, we have a tendency when we can't make the funerals, we like to ask for programs.
Yes, sir.
I understand that's one of your pet peeves.
Yes. They ask you for programs, work notes. People call me and be like, "You got service today?" I'm just trying to get out of work. You know
So
how they do it.
they're that forthright about it, right? Is that right?
That's it. No hesitation. No
Yeah.
hesitation.
And it's kind of
Yeah.
funny because there's a pun wrapped up in there as well as him being in a bomber. It's like he's a comedian now. So I guess he's really keeping him in stitches, huh?
Yes, sir. Knocking them dead. That's what we do. Knock them dead.
you know, it's interesting. I'm not gonna say no names, but he's on the broadcast. I know I was heading to a funeral. Unfortunately, as many of us are over the last 6 months, and this guy said, "Hey, I can't make the funeral, but can you grab me a program?" I said, "Yeah, Walt." Oh, I'm sorry, I mentioned your name, Walt. But
yeah. That mean he took off of work. You told him he was going.
Hey, long as I didn't get the paid bereavement day.
Oh man,
that'd have been a slight on my soul, right?
Absolutely. So tell us about the grind on this on this comedic thing. I mean, I know we see the Kevin Harts and really Philadelphia, coming out, another Philadelphia guy coming out of Philly and being on the grind and really starting on that same kind of local circuit that you're kind of on right now. So tell us a little bit about that grind. And Philly's I lived in Philly for the first 25 to 27 years of my life before I moved to Central Pennsylvania. But I always remember Philly being big on the comedy scene, not only from the urban side, but also, on the, commercial side as well. So tell us a little bit about that, man, and that grind.
It's definitely a grind, sir. I was surprised when I found out it was so many comedians or people who are trying to become comedians or I guess you could say take it further as comedians. So you definitely have to be on your A game. It's not easy. If your material is not good, Philadelphia would definitely let you know.
Right.
I've had the pleasure and honor of having a great mentor, finding a great mentor who was allowing me to learn and kind of like, I guess you could say, tag along. So I've been meeting a whole lot of comedians in other states as well. So that's also part of the grind. You have to get out here and be known and build a following. So I enjoy it. I mean, that's the most enjoyable part when you grind and work hard for something and then you finally see it come into fruition. You appreciate it more. So it can be tedious at times.
Right.
I remember my first time bombing bad. I had a comedian tell me, "Oh, you be all right," and I was like, "I feel like doo-doo right now." Like,
right.
The crowd made sure of it.
Right.
So that's great. So with that being said, like just listening to you breaking through obstacles and overcoming diversity. I know right now during the COVID thing, it's probably slowing you down a little bit.
Oh man, you gotta start all over. The little buzz that you thought you had, out of sight, out of mind. People forget about you if they don't see you. So you kind of had to stay relevant on social media. I wasn't really a big social media buff, posting videos and things of that nature, but I'm starting to get into it because I have to. You have to change and adapt and evolve with the times. If you don't, you're gonna get left behind. And it's a lot of people that's funny, but they're not getting their just due because they won't learn how to create the social media following and get their buzz going on there. Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't coming to shows anymore. So unless they know who you are, that's why a lot of these social media comedians they fill seats, so they get booked. They'll pay them $5 to $10 grand a show because they're going to sell out the arena or sell out the comedy club on more than one night. So you definitely have to use social media. It's another learning experience for me. But hey, that's all life is, right? A bunch of learning experiences thrown together.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned, you know, with COVID and things like that. And we had a gentleman, Keith, Arthur, who came on about a couple months, about 2 months ago, and he's an actor, and he was talking about, you know, how the grind is really slow right now with COVID being in place, and we can really see, like, on, you know, on Instagram, how many of our musical artists are kind of reinventing themselves, you
Yes,
know,
sir.
through Instagram, you know, through the verses and things like that. Tell us a little bit about you. I know you talked about some of your social media, you know, activities. Give us a little bit more detail on that. Like, what are some of the things that you see, and how do you kind of gauge, you know, your kind of audience response? Is it by clicks, or how do you know you're really coming across and you're really funny?
It's about, you know, views and you know, the comments that they leave on Instagram or Facebook. I also have a YouTube page, so I just started that not too long ago. So it's just about, you know, about the views. I'm in a lot of skits, so comedy, you know, basically you're on stage acting out your jokes. So opening that door, now I have to go into acting. So, you know, I've been doing a lot of skits and role playing, posting videos, things of that nature. So with that, you know, we throw it out there and see how they take it. I mean, I had some things, some videos they like, and then some videos they think were a no go. You know, so I touch a lot of topics. I really don't care. Nothing's off limits for me. So again, I can't care about their feelings for real, because we're comedians. So you never know what you're going to get from a comedian. A comedian job is to be funny and share their point of view with you. No, everybody's not always going to agree with your point of view, but the ones that do, that become your fans or your followers, that's who we do it for. So, you know, so I just go off the comments. You know, for every one
Right,
person that
right.
don't like it, it's two people that like it and laugh.
That's right.
So
That's right. That's right.
Right. Now, being in that position, do you feel as though that some comedians get typecasted, like they only stick to one genre, or do you see yourself being multifaceted? Like, you know, some comedians don't like to get into politics, and some people don't like to get into talking about their family. Is there ever a situation where you try to stray away from specific topics?
uh it is. I got a gay brother, so I had, when I first started, I had a gay joke, and it was about my brother. Um, but I did it one time in Atlantic City, and it's funny because the people in the first row was all gay, like all gay males. So the joke didn't really go go how I thought it was going to go. It killed in one room, and then I died in the other room. So um, I try to stay away from certain topics only if depending on the crowd. If I survey the crowd, that's another part of it. When you before you go on stage and perform, it's good to get there early so you can see what the crowd looks like. If it's a crowd full of women and you got a bunch of women bashing jokes or whatever, you might not want to use those. You might want to touch in other areas. So I feel as though nothing is off limits, but you do have to cater to the crowd, or they're not going to call you back. The crowd going to boo you off the stage, or complain about you, and then the promoters won't bring you back.
Right.
So that's you know, it is what
Yeah.
it is.
Speaking of that, and being in a crowd at a comedy show, I went out to Vegas. My wife and I went to Vegas roughly about 13 years ago, and we went to go see George Wallace. And of course, as you got anyone in the audience has traveled to the West Coast and get that jet lag, and you know, it takes a day or two to get used to that timing. And so I don't know why I chose to see George Wallace. Maybe the first night that we were there, I couldn't wait to go see him. And I'm sitting there and I'm dozing. And my wife is giving me the elbow, like, yo, please wake up. Do not get caught on camera sleeping, or don't let George Wallace catch you. Do not be the butt of the jokes while I'm sitting here. You know, talk to a little bit about that, man. Is sitting in the front row at a comedy show, is that sit there at your own risk?
uh, it shouldn't be. It depends. It depends on how the show is going. Because you don't want people like you said to not want to sit in the front row. You don't want people shouldn't feel like, oh, I don't want to go to the comedy show because they're going to talk about me. Like, I mean, some comedians, that's the only way they know how to be funny is to talk about people.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the comedian, actually. I'm not that type of comedian. I can be, but why pick on people? I've seen people meet comedians outside and want to fight because they were offended.
Wow.
It could get kind of dangerous. So it's like tread lightly.
Yes.
Tread lightly. Like I seen people stand there and be like, man, fuck you, finish your jokes and leave me alone. Like, so it's dangerous.
Yes, sir. Well, this podcast is brought to you by the All In Network. Don't forget to head over to allinnetwork.net to find all of our other podcasts, including All In Podcasts with Elijah Cooper and Mike Bazzett, Rain and Bliss, which is our female oriented show podcast, Real Deal Radio, which is a radio show that focuses on Central Pennsylvania, the 717. And of course, you're listening to us on All In Politics. Right now, we're having a great discussion with Granville Bazemore. But also, too, for all you gamers out there, we have a new and exciting show. It's called Beast Gaming Podcast. So make sure you go to allinnetwork.net to view all of our exciting, entertaining podcasts on our platform. Or to make it even easier for you, go to our All In Network YouTube page where you can find all of our programming needs for you. And Walt, when they go over to YouTube, what should they do, man?
Man, listen, grab whatever device you're using at that time, grab it, jump up and down, do a 360-degree turn, and return with a smashing of the subscribe button.
That's right. Subscribe, like, and subscribe is what we want. And of course, if you have any guest suggestions or ideals, or you want to come on our show, make sure you get at me at Rob Cooper Jr. on Instagram, not Twitter. So let's talk a little bit about this, man. Well, you went into the Breonna Taylor piece. This is real serious matter because, quite frankly, Black lives don't matter in America, and that's me coming out saying that. And I'm not just saying that to try to be funny or have an attitude. I'm just going by the way the justice system has been treating us for oh so long. Well, if you want to just kind of go back into that, review the charges, or lack thereof, and what the DA came out on. I just think that it's just totally unjust what's going on and what's happening to Black folks.
Well, just looking at the charges, like I said, it was only the one officer that was charged, and it was on 3 counts, and it was called wanton endangerment. So I guess that's endangerment to an individual that's not in the direct area of where the shots took place, but it was the offense that it could have caused harm towards somebody that was indirectly involved with the matter, which would have been her and his, because she was with her boyfriend that night, the neighbors or whatever else in the other occupied apartment areas. So they didn't charge him for the bullets that hit Breonna. He was charged for the ones that missed and could have possibly hit ones in another apartment unit. So with that being said, this is an eradication of justice. It's like Daniel, what is his last name?
Cameron.
Yeah, Daniel Cameron. When he got on there, it was like he was auditioning for something. Now, we already know that the Supreme Court Justice Ginsburg had passed, so there's an open seat. We already knew that Cameron had spoke at the RNC, so it was like he was positioning himself to get that vacancy. But we already know now that Amy was the selected one, so it's like he got egg in his face.
Right.
But even in turn, he was supporting racist regime and segment to suit purpose to only fulfill himself.
That's right. Brett, you care to give us your thoughts on the Breonna Taylor controversy?
I feel as though, of course, her dying was wrong. Um, I feel as though that the person who gave the order should also be punished for giving out the wrong information, because the police officers, they followed a direct order.
Right.
You get told to go serve a warrant, and you may come in contact with a dangerous person, a criminal classified as dangerous. And you go, well, first they said it was a no-knock warrant, then they saying it wasn't a no-knock warrant, so I'm not sure what it was. But if you go and pursue this criminal, and then when you go inside the home, you receive fire, of course you're going to fire back.
Right.
So I believe that the person who gave the order should be punished, because they should have had all their I's dotted and T's crossed.
Right.
It is sad. They say that the officers, it was excessive. It was about 20 shots fired. I can't really speak on that, only because I don't know what I would do if I'm told as an officer. Like I try to place myself in everyone's shoes. So if I'm
that's
responding or told to go and get this person, and I go into the home and I receive fire, my job is to protect myself and my partners and get out of there.
Right.
So we're going to do what we have to do.
Or you can even take it, Granville, even
subject.
I mean, not to cut you off, but even as you were serving in Iraq, right? You served a couple tours in Iraq.
Yes, sir.
Your superior officer gives you a direct command. You're expected to obey it.
Yes, sir. You're not going to question it. Like I had a debate with people who say, "Oh, well, they should have questioned it, or they shouldn't have that kind of job where they can't question it." Listen, they try to take care of their family the best way they can.
Right.
So this is their job, and they were told by a superior officer, go do this. So they went to go do it. The problem is they're human. So we're being protected by humans who make mistakes as well. No one's perfect. So I'm not making an excuse, because it is a sad thing. But I just like to look at this the whole spectrum, and not just look at it from the Breonna Taylor side. The person that they were looking for did used to live there. The person used to reside there. So it's a possibility that the person could get things wrong, but the superior officer who gave them the order should have made sure, because I heard that they had the guy in custody already.
And it was also surveilling that house for like 6 months.
Correct.
So they should have seen that he wasn't there.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of variables, but I done got called a coon. So I guess this is more coonery from me, I guess, so they would call it. But I just like to look at it I've been on the other side as a law enforcement officer who had to take orders. So when you're told to do something, you just go do it sometimes. You don't.
So let me ask you this. So why then, and I understand everyone has to do their job, but it always seems, and this young lady was asleep. She was in her sleep. But it always seems all the accidents happen to Black people.
And that's crazy. It is unfortunate.
Right?
And it's crazy because I heard that she wasn't asleep. Like I heard that she was asleep, but then I read that she was found next to the gentleman, meaning that when he was firing, she was right there. If she was found next to him. So it's so many different stories. I mean, of course, the media, they like to juice things up sometimes.
Sensationalize.
Yeah. Right. So it's just, this came at a bad time.
Yes, sir.
The situation came at a bad, and then unfortunately it is another African American person that was the subject. So I mean, it's crazy. They know they was wrong because they settled out. They
right. That's right.
So somebody know they screwed up, but I feel like the person that gave the order should definitely be punished. Like you initiated all of this.
Right. So the other piece too, I think we're going into a highly controversial election season. We have a commander in chief that is stoking a lot of this racial violence that is going on. So that doesn't necessarily, help. And again, as we kind of see right now, with the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg last week, and is currently being laid to rest and laying in state as we speak. We see that the president can't wait now to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg with Judge Amy Cooney Barrett. It's interesting how quickly they come up with these names, but I don't know much about her. But what I've read, I know that I could probably be sure that she's not a friend of Black folks, and probably not a friend of a women's right to choose. Care to comment?
I mean, I believe that he already had somebody ready to be appointed. Right. They always have a backup.
That's right.
Unfortunately. So whatever this agenda that they're trying to see forth or set forth, they're going to make it happen regardless. I'm not surprised. Nothing surprises me anymore, especially with even with him making it in office this long. Like they know what they want him to do, and he's setting out to do it. It's just sad because it's creating an uproar in our communities, and we're allowing it to. I believe that's what they're setting out to do. Have us destroy our own communities and make an example out of ourselves. We're going to prove them right. Oh, look at these niggas in here tearing shit up. They don't give a fuck. They just want to loot and pillage. And now we tear up our communities. They come and buy it up. And now we're really out of. We really moved out. They're already gentrifying everything. So we're helping their agenda along. I feel. I feel like it's a way to do everything. But we're so emotional. We lead with emotion instead of stopping and thinking of the right way to do it and the right way to get our point across, or the right way to protest. Everybody gets emotional. Now, once they get emotional, followed by, I guess you could say, alcoholic beverages or substance abuse, now they really out here tripping.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, you made a really good point, and I think we're hearing, and I normally don't go round and round with Trump supporters anymore on social media, because all that does is get my accounts canceled, because I don't know how to respond diplomatically,
and raise your blood pressure.
But I welcome them to come on my podcast, and we'll have this discussion. But who I've been going around with lately, and I spoke about them last week on this podcast, are the Hotep hustlers, who are telling people now, don't vote, your vote don't count. And to an extent, I understand where they're coming from. And to your point, Granville, we had to stop thinking with emotion. I think that is a heavily emotional response. What I've been saying, and I'll continue to say, and I'll say it on the show here today, is that Black people need a 10-year voting plan. It's now becoming a fact through many folks who study demographics, that says that in back 2032, Black and brown people will be the dominant race here in the United States of America, which means we're going to wield a whole lot of power, particularly power when it comes to democracy, where majority rules. And that's why
do you think they're going to allow that to happen?
Well, we can see right now that they're doing their damnedest not to. Shooting a Black woman in her sleep, killing 200,000 people through COVID-19, and a high percentage of them being Black. So they're doing their damnedest to try to prevent that from happening. But as one of your favorite, comedians said, who was it? Robert Williams, when he talked about Bebe's kids. We don't die. We don't die. We multiply.
Robert Harris.
Robert Harris. He said, we don't die. We baby kids. We don't die. We multiply.
But it's funny because we multiply. Right, we multiply, but we kill each other. That's the funniest part. because we could be powerful, but we allow ourselves to wipe each other out, and it's crazy. Crazy.
Just to piggyback off of that sentiment as well, even with the multiplication and the duplicity of the growth of Black Americans, everybody doesn't have the same interests as you and I have.
Yep.
So even though we have the multitude and multiplicity, like I said, of the individuals, have want to attain what they can get, and those that get what they can attain, they'll sell their own mother out, they keep it.
Right.
So you'll have those, like I said, you'll have, and I hate to say this, but it's the moniker that's been used for years. You have the field Negro and you have the house Negro. The house Negro is going to do everything he needs to do to stay inside with the master, make sure his place is warm, his place is kept, and the field Negro stays out in the field. Field Negro wants equality, wants freedom, wants liberation, wants to be able to roam and do what he needs to be. So, like Granville said, we're multiplying and killing each other, but the ones that attain and acquire the wealth, they're going to sell out and do whatever they can to stay on the good graces of their counterpart, to isolate the rest of the rest. So it's like,
but it's crazy, Walt, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I agree with some of what you said, but the field, like you use the analogy, the field Negro and the house Negro. So the field Negro, they want to be free, but they don't know how to play the game to be free.
Right.
The house Negro knows how to play the game. The working man, or the house Negro, as you want to call it, they play the game to get where they need to be. So now,
but they also lose sight. They also lose sight of the whole scheme of it. Once you attain and overcome your master, you're supposed to filtrate it down to the laymen, the commoners, the underlings.
But everybody doesn't lose sight, because now you go ahead and you pass it down to the so-called field Negro, like you said, and the field Negro takes everything that you taught them and doesn't listen. They do what they want to do. You know how like yourself, well, you're a hardworking man. You know how to play the game with society. You know how to bite your tongue to a certain extent. You know how to say this is not the time or the place for this. It's a time and a place for everything. Then you got the individual who said, man, fuck all that. I'm gonna let this motherfucker hear what I gotta say right now. Fuck all that. They start calling them out their names and acting the way that they want them to act, so that now they have the reason and justification to treat them how they want to treat them.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Clarence Thomas, right? Supreme Court Justice.
Okay.
What philanthropic work do you think he did in any of the urban areas?
I don't know. What did he do?
Nothing. You can't go off what he did, because he's not giving back to the community. So that's what I'm talking about. That's one lost one. So then we'll go back. Let's talk about what's the name? What's the senator from
Tim from South Carolina.
South Carolina. What's his last name, Tim? Tim Scott.
Daniel Cameron.
No. He's the Attorney General for Kentucky. Right. He's the Attorney General for Kentucky. But that's another one. He's the only reason he's where he's at. He's dating Mitch McConnell's niece.
Okay.
So where do you think he's giving back into the African American community?
He may not be. But what about those who are?
No. What I'm saying to you, there are
those who are. For every person name that's not, there's somebody who is. There are people that's successful who are trying to teach and trying to build in the communities. And what's happening? The people in the communities are slapping them in the face.
That's not always happening. I mean, but this is why I got back to saying that we need a 10-year plan. And you need a 10-year voting plan, because let me just say this. When Barack Obama was elected in 2008, the first thing that the elite did, and many of them being Republicans, they went to a small area in Maryland, I believe, and they sketched out a 10-year plan. And then all of a sudden, what you saw that Obama was going up against was the Tea Party and some other pieces. They threw out different type of I would say testing pieces to see if the American public will bite. And what they really did was, and I know, because I'm a student of politics, and I know what you see right now in the Republican Party, and I know where you're trying to get to, Granville. And what, when you brought up about Clarence Thomas, came through the traditional conservative movement. But what you have right now in the Republican Party is they recognize that the conservative movement, and trying to win it, to run on the conservative principles, they weren't winning elections anymore. So the John McCains and the Mitt Romneys and some of your other traditional, Barry Goldwater in the 60s, their principles are great, and their conservative values was good, and it was something that they could, latch on to, but it wasn't winning elections. What wins elections is racism, and it's blatant racism. So we've always been victims of systemic racism ever since we were brought over for 400 years. But what the Republican Party did, they added what they say, they put some respect on it, as they say. And the respect on that conservative movement, in my opinion, was racism. And they were able to create this guy by the name of Donald Trump, a reality TV star who has no clue of politics to begin with, and now we're finding out had no clue about business, and now we're even further finding out has no real clue on how to lead the world superpower. In fact, I would say he's doing a good job of leading, but his leadership is leading the country into the wrong direction. And that gets on to the third and final point that we want to bring up about peaceful transition of power. This right there, the fact that he spoke on not even having a clue, has no clue about the Constitution. When they asked him about that, would he be willing to have peaceful transition of power, he looked at the reporters like he had no clue, because he's treating this as this is Trump organization, or this is Trump Incorporated. He has no clue how the democratic process is supposed to be run. I don't even believe that he's being mean-spirited. I just think that the guy really has no clue of what he's doing, and has no clue of what what the traditional values and what the Constitutional states, how we supposed to, dude, we know that you won the election, underhanded with the use of Russia. I think that was his expectation. He's expecting that Russia would intervene and carry him through
again
another 4 years. Right.
Yeah, we know he don't know what he's doing in more areas than one.
Mm-hmm.
If it don't have nothing to do with grabbing poom poom, then he definitely don't know what to do.
That's right. That's right.
Well, we know he got problems in that area because his wife, for some reason, keeps dipping down at Tiffany's.
That's right. That's right. Well, this has been another great session and podcast of All In Politics. Granville, it's really a pleasure having you on, man, and we definitely want to bring you back on some other time to continue on.
Yes, sir, I appreciate it. I thank you for having me. It's good to be able to share views with educated individuals who don't get emotional. We could either agree or disagree and still move on without argument. So I appreciate it.
That's called dialogue. It's called dialogue. Now, what we want to do is give you the floor right now. If you want to give out like your handles and your platform where you can be checked in at, if you want to take the time to do that, that'd be greatly appreciated.
I'm on Facebook, Granville Bazemore, LFD. That's my Facebook name. I'm on Instagram at G Bazemore Comedy. I also have a website, gbazemorecomedy.com. And that's it for now. I'm trying to create some more, but I'm on YouTube as well. You could type in my name, Granville Bazemore, and my page will come up.
Cool. And I'm if you want to reach me again on any show ideals, again, I'm at Rob Cooper Jr. on Instagram, not Twitter. Walt, take us home, man.
Well, it's been another exciting episode. It's good to come together with like-minded individuals and get information out to those with like-minded views. The only way that we can take back our democracy is if us as a combined effort and group get together and get these people that's in power, that's holding us back, free, so we can get back to where we need to be. So I'm your host, Walter Damager, and like I said, each one teach one, and for every branch, man, is a great leaf to be branched out and brought home.
Are we going to be able to put a face with the voice next time, sir?
Yes, sir. As soon as I get this this FEMA money up, they told me my check is coming in the mail last week.
Like I'm talking to the wizard on Wizard of Oz, man.
Well, you wait till we bring the midgets in, man. You know, that's
All
really
right.
episode. So with that being said, we appreciate you, Gran. Everything that you do, man. Much success in your endeavors. And we definitely look forward to bringing you back on another upcoming episode of All In Podcast.
Thank you both. I appreciate it.
You got it.
Peace.
We're out. Peace.